A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, X, Y, and Z. I missed something in there. Growing up, it was a secret. I would go to another parish to confess my sins. Rather than where I was, I didn't want anybody, like a priest who might know me, to hear what I had to say. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been a week since my last confession. I would say things like I have had impure thoughts and actions. When I was an infant, my father was in the army, and then he got assigned to Europe. So, as far as I was concerned, my father was in a photograph on top of a kitchen cabinet with his uniform on, and that was my father. I didn't know him. I was too young to remember because he was shipped off to Europe pretty early in my life. And my favorite aunt, Dottie, she was sitting at the table where I was sitting, and I leaned over to her and I said to her, "See that man over there? I don't like him." And you know what she said to me? "Don't feel that way. He's your father." Okay, keep my feelings to myself. When I was in the service, I was in the Air Force. I didn't fly. I wasn't a pilot. I wasn't a navigator. It didn't have anything to do with flying. But I got into intelligence work. Met this couple that I'm still friends with when we were stationed in Japan at the same time. Well, after I got discharged, came back to New York, and kept in touch with my friends. When I went up to visit them, Bob and I we went off, took a walk on the road outside their home, and I said to him, I think I'm gay. And like I didn't know what to do about it, whatever. But anyway, I told him this, and the next thing I know, he gave me a hug and kissed me. Okay. What is going on here? So it's sort of a coming out, if you will.
Oh, it was pretty dramatic.
Bob and I started just sending letters.
I don't remember if she used the term homosexual then or when I got to the house.
One day, I'm hearing this moaning sound coming from my mother. Well, she read one of my letters from him, from Bob.
And in that letter divulged an affair that they were having during this time in Japan. And it cracked everything open.
I said to you, that's private business. You have no right to look into, read my mail.
I went where I have her in a niche. I put my hand on her name. I said, the influence of your anger or disappointment or shame or whatever it was, your hysteria, affected so many lives. It affected so many lives. What I do remember Sal saying was, I want to have a family. I want to be straight. I will go to therapy and see if I could do that. But I promise you, that's my goal, is to be married and have a family. Then it went underground after that.
My dad will tell stories of girls he liked or asked to dance when he was, younger or in college. And in my mind, I wonder, did you really like them, or was that because you had to, with your upbringing and who your parents were? Were you just forced into that, role?
Well, gay meant to me being attracted to men, more curious about men than I was curious about women. Although I had no problem being friends with women. I don't know, on the one hand, I don't particularly like identifying myself like that, being gay.
In general, it's been kind of a bummer because he's kind of been kind of closed off since Diane died and stuff, and so it's great we have him over, but we don't really have much to say.
I have Parkinson's disease. It's on the Alzheimer's spectrum. And so along the line is dementia. I always considered that Nana was my brains and I was her eyes. Well, we met in graduate school, social work, School of Social Work. How can I put this? I just felt very connected with her. Literally, we spent hours talking on the phone, to 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Our friends would recognize, that we were a couple. Didn't really feel like that, and just we were friends. I was just thinking about Don. I think maybe Diane and Don had a connection at some point where I wish you were here, you can fill all this in.
We started graduate school in 1969, August, right after Woodstock. And well, the switch was I had dated Don and he had dated Linda. The library was an old house. We were the only two people there. And I don't know who said it, but said, "You want to go get coffee?" Yes! We were dating other people, but, still getting together socially. My attitude was, I'm never going to get married again. So I wasn't looking for a serious relationship. It seemed like we were getting closer.
She said, you guys got something going on here, but you don't even realize it.
I was starting to admit it to myself, but it was like, well, he's not looking for a relationship. So. But anyway, one day he said to me, my therapist said to me, you should talk about Diana a lot. Oh, I don't know. I guess I like her. So he confessed that to me. So, eventually we said I love you, but it took a little bit.
We talked about having children, and she said, now, well, wait a minute. You haven't proposed to me, and we're talking about having children. She said, will you marry me? And I said, yes. So she proposed to me, took the initiative. I didn't realize in terms of it'd be a lot easier on the kids if we were married. And she was the love of my life. I'm just blown away. Just hearing her voice again. Oh my God.
He left for Syracuse, fell in love. Really, that was love. They were always laughing. Diane was just so enamored with Sal. I envied their relationship because it looked so romantic and so loving. It's hard to reconcile. I think it was real. I think at that point he thought he could be bisexual. I don't know how he moved from one space to the other, but I think that was deep and real.
When Christine and I got married, the night of the marriage, or like the night of the party, or something like that, he pulls me aside. I think he gave me his watch or something, and he was like, remember, it's all about her. It's only about her. It's never about you. And it's really kind of interesting in the context of how the relationship ended up being, right? Like, having to sacrifice, your identity and, your true self, and, being there for the kids and Diane and all that kind of stuff. Kind of interesting.
I think I knew, I don't know if it was middle school or very early in high school. I definitely knew that there were some rocky moments. And at one point they did tell me they were seeing a therapist. And so I was like, oh, confirmed. But it's not like they argued in front of me. They just didn't do a lot together.
I'm sure she suffered. They both suffered. And what I asked him was, how did you ever resolve that part of you that was gay and have been gay or gay? I didn't know what tense to use. And he thought for a minute. And he said, I have a double life. I haven't resolved it. I am gay.
And according to my mom, my dad had, a physical relationship with one of their male friends.
I don't know what kind of understanding they had. I still have that question, or was my mom and thinking that getting married would mean that he was committed to her and they would have a relationship that didn't involve other people and that he wouldn't love another man. I don't know what they if they had an agreement or she just hoped for something, but I do know that she knew before they got married.
About having affairs outside of marriage. So for some reason I don't think I've ever really considered it that way, whatever that means. Having affairs outside marriage.
It's really unclear what the agreement was. You know, I didn't really get a straight answer from my mom, and it's hard to get that straight answer from my dad now.
I didn't find out till like a day before my mom died that my dad was gay.
Why haven't I told my daughters ever? I've never told them.
You know, it's a scene for the movies.
Got a call from my sister. We need to have an emergency family meeting outside at Dad's house. You need to come.
Are you saying that Diane told them?
I do know that she was the one that said something rather than it being my dad's idea to say something. And so to this day, I still wonder, like, would we still not know if my mom didn't blurt it out to, you know, everybody? Did she have his permission to do that?
Fine. She decided that that was something that she needed to do. I have no problem with that.
When she was dying and she basically, you know, outed him, it was a blessing to him to help him free up. So she could be free to go, and he could be free to be. I thought that was an amazing gift that she gave him at the end of her life. But it was about everybody coming to peace with the truth. This is about the truth.
Of course, you know, the other element to this is that my dad has dementia. So on top of losing my mom and the opportunity to ask her questions, you know, every year that goes by, we're sort of losing more detail to the story.
He couldn't be out. It was just not okay. Unless he was in safe circles could he be out. So I'll never know the depth of his experiences because of his memory loss. And that's sad to me.
I've never experienced any negative response from my family, you know, that she shared that with. Which is nice, you know, because the family is okay, you know, with me. I'm not shunned.
You know, a revelation like that sort of blows up your childhood, and it kind of leaves you with these questions of like, oh my God, like what was real, what wasn't real, what was going on, you know, it leaves you with a lot of confusion. And so when I feel myself kind of going down that rabbit hole, I do try to remember, like, you know, what was real was the love. Maybe that's all that matters.
Go look at the people. Say goodbye.
I was just sitting next to her where, you know, here was kind of putting my hand over her heart. And the last thing she said to me was, just be yourself. Okay. Be yourself.
I love you.
I love you, man.